Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman on Wednesday, January 17th. Busy show today. We'll look back on last night's girls basketball game in the FCAC, Ridgefield hosting Greenwich. We've got games up ahead today we want to look forward to. Of course, we'll get you updated on all the postponements that are going on. 11 out of 17 hockey games, Kev, I think we're going to be postponed by the end of today. Something that that's tough with the scarce amount of snow that we got out there today.
You look at, you were expecting waking up this morning, you're going to see maybe, 5 to 7 inches, what we're expected around this area, but it's really not that much. I'm surprised that schools even decided to cancel. I know one of those big games tonight was Ridgefield and Greenwich over at Dorothy Hamill tonight. That was going to be a big game that is probably likely going to be rescheduled to February, I believe. But, it's tough. It's going to obviously, screw around the schedule a little bit. So these athletic directors are going to have to work a little harder now. It adds another belt here. So it's going to be difficult for these athletic directors, but they'll get it done. But expect that game to probably be in February, correct?
Yeah, there's talk that it might be next week. There is no announcement yet. We'll keep an eye on that. But we've also got a big start here to the show. We're happy to welcome on a good friend of the program. He's the head basketball coach for the Wilton Warriors. Coach Joel Garriak joins us now. And Coach, good afternoon. Thanks for taking time with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get right to it. You guys off to another hot start here after losing a big chunk off a great team last year. How has this quick rebuilding process, for lack of better terms, been in keeping this stride up this season for you?
Well, last year, playing so many kids as we did last year, playing 13, 14 players, it helped get us ready for this season. And the kids that came in this year, the Scotty Cunninghams and Kyle Metallas and those kids, all worked their tails off all summer and fall to get ready. And, they've taken that leadership role and, taken it to the next level.
And Coach, how do you replace someone like Jack Wood? Because not only was he a favorite of Frank and I's, but he was a favorite of a lot of people last year on that roster, able to take the body, doing a lot of offensive fouls, and he, obviously getting hurt in that FCI championship game hurt. But how do you replace him? And is there a player on this roster this year that kind of resembles the play of Jack Wood?
You can't replace him, to be honest with you. Nobody takes 70 charges in a season. They're attempts to and plays as hard as he always did, and never complains and limped around, as you guys made sure to talk about on the broadcast when he couldn't move. But this year, the kids that are trying to fill that void are the Kyle Phillips and Ryan Shrivers, who are playing great defense this year. They've been lockdown defenders when we need them to be. And we still haven't had that player that wants to take the charge like he did, but all the kids are stepping in, slowly trying to fill that role. But it's not easy to do.
You mentioned Kyle Metallas before. You're getting a good chance to see him last year at times take over at point guard. What is it about his game that you've really enjoyed seeing him most improve on moving into his senior year, really taking over the offense this year for the Warriors?
Well, Kyle, he moved up. He actually struggled early in the year because I think he tried to put too much pressure on himself. Came back, I guess it was against New Canaan when he had 27, and he got more back in the rhythm, had more fun, relaxed, and with sharing the load with Scotty Cunningham, with Tonio Brancato, with Nick Cronenberg, those 4 kids can score 20 points on any given night. So it makes your job a little easier for the offense to move along when it doesn't have to be just you.
You mentioned Antonio Brancato, and obviously it's going to be a big storyline for the next 48 hours here. He returns to Fairfield Ward with the Warriors tomorrow night. Can you talk a little bit about the anticipation leading up to tomorrow's big game?
I'm sure it's going to be very, very big for him. We've been talking about it, just, me and him personally after the game yesterday, just to make sure he understands that it's just another game. Don't make it bigger than it has to be. You don't want to get caught up in the emotion of what's going to happen in the crowd. So he's looking forward to it, but he also knows that, it's not about him, it's about the team, and he understands that.
Well, you guys are facing a very strong team right now that's playing extremely well in Fairfield Ward, and they're led by arguably one of the best players in the conference, Sean Conway. How do you go about containing a player like Sean Conway? Because I don't know right now that there's a team in the state that could stop him, quite honestly.
He's been unreal. I was actually at the game when he had that quadruple double. He's been unreal. We all knew he was going to be good. I didn't think he'd be 32 points a game good, which is ridiculous. And his average dropped after scoring 25 or 26.
Crazy. It's unbelievable.
But he's been, you know, a big surprise for the entire league as well as he's playing, and he shares the ball, which is scarier. So it's going to be a tough challenge. I don't know if any team can stop him, but we're going to try.
Now, Coach, you got out to a sluggish start in your win last night against St. Joe's in that first half. Solid times last year, too. You know, your team was getting off to a little bit of a slow start in that first quarter. Then you really picked things up in the second half. What do you do to prevent that here against a Ward team right now who hasn't lost in the conference yet? How do you prevent the Ward Mustangs from taking over in the first half?
The first 2 or 3 minutes when the game is going to be, I'm assuming it'll be a good crowd there with them getting energized. Hopefully the first 2 or 3 minutes we can keep them in tow. Obviously keep Conway off the score as much as possible. And not for nothing, hopefully miss a couple shots that are probably going to be open. But in general, we just got to play very good defense and play our style of basketball, and I think we'll be okay.
Well, you guys are really about to hit a tough stretch of basketball over the next few weeks. You're going to see Darien, Trinity Catholic, Ridgefield, Central, Trumbull. 4 of those 5 teams are currently sitting tied for the division lead in the East and West. I mean, how does your team go through this grueling chunk of the schedule and stay at the top of their game and try to avoid the peaks and valleys we see at times?
One is the old cliche, just look one game at a time. We can't look down the road. We can't look at Trinity. We can't look at Richfield. You got to worry about Ward right now. If we come prepared and work hard in practice every day, like we have been for the last 2 weeks, I think we'll be in good shape. As long as we follow scouting reports and get the ball in the right players' hands at the right times, I think we'll be good.
Now, Coach, what is it about this roster's team that you like the most compared to last year? I know it's tough. We mentioned before how it's tough to replace a Cronenberg, a Drew Connolly, Jack Williams, a Jack Wood. But what is it about this team in 2017, 2018 that you like the most?
I think, personally, offensively, this is the best shooting team I've ever had. Last year, we could score, obviously. We have great defenders. We were a very good defensive team last year. This team's coming to its own right now, but when it comes to offense, we have 3 shooters that can shoot the ball from 30 feet out, which is, not very common. And defensively, we're cutting along much better. We're only giving up 45 or 46 points for the most part lately. Staples scored about 60 on us, but we played a little more tempo that game. And like last year, we're going 12 deep, so we're helping.
And, there's 2 players who I also think deserve a lot of recognition, especially had great minutes last year. It was Kyle Schifrin and Robbie Herman. They come back to this roster this year. What do they mean to this roster this year for you, Coach?
Oh, those 2 have been indispensable this year. They're rebounding better than last year. They're finishing well. It really doesn't matter which one I have in the game. They both started games. They both come off the bench. They literally just play the role hard as they can, even though they're not size-wise, they're considered a big man. They do play the big spot pretty well down low. They box out, they hit people, and that's how we win games this year.
I know that you're going to want to shy away from this topic, Coach, but I want to dive into your personal career at Wilton. Now, you're entering into your 6th season. You've been a part of so many program firsts, their first FCIAC semifinal appearance, first time that you went to back-to-back FCIAC tournaments. You were in the first FCIAC championship game in program history last year. You've done such a tremendous job of building off past experiences and continuing to get this program to improve. What was your message before the year, after everything this group accomplished last year, to continue to build this program heading into the season?
It's actually been pretty easy for the team this year. They knew how it felt last year after we lost in the FCIAC finals. And the big thing with this year was to finish off what we started last year. And even last year's team came in during break and said, finish what we started and leave your own legacy. And right now, that's what they're trying to do. And, that's our plan.
Well, it's taken us a little longer than we would have liked, but we're happy that we're going to have the Warriors on the HAN Network tomorrow night. We'll see you again before the month ends as well. Coach, thank you so much for taking time with us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and good luck as well.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Absolutely. That was Coach Joel Gariak of the Wilton Warriors, and, it's his 6th year as the head coach of the program, Kev, 7th year overall with Wilton, and he's done such a great job of bringing this program consistently now to the top of the conference. It's very impressive.
It is very impressive. It speaks volumes to what he does here at this Wilton basketball program. It's like a carbon copy almost in a way from last year's team to this year's team. So this is an exciting game tomorrow night. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to seeing how Wilton does the rest of the year.
A really good job. We're hoping we can be joined by Ryan Swaller, head coach of the Ward Mustangs tomorrow, who can talk more about the Fairfield Ward's success early on this season and the great play of Sean Conway. For now, though, let's take a break on the HAN Network. When we get back, we'll have some highlights and breakdown of girls basketball from Tuesday night on the AFCIAC right here on the HAN Network.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home. Time to refresh and reinvigorate the way you live. And whether you're redoing something big or small, remember the letters RE stand for Rings End. We're the new model in home remodeling.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Well, there's still a bite out.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Thank you again to Coach Gariak of Wilton for taking time with us. Frank Granito in studio today alongside Kevin Coleman. Looking back on Tuesday's FCIAC action, let's start with the HAN Network's coverage of Ridgefield and Greenwich from the Tigers Den in girls basketball. 2 very young teams, Kevin, coming into the season. They're going through the growing pains in different ways right now. The Tigers starting to piece things together a little bit quicker than the Cardinals, who continue to struggle here through the midway point of the season.
Yeah, the Cardinals are struggling, but at the same time, there are glimpses of hope for the Greenwich Cardinals for the future. Still a really young team with, you have 4 seniors on that roster who are still trying to make an impact, and you got freshmen, sophomores as well, even some juniors sprinkled in there as well. But the Greenwich Cardinals, while they're having a tough stretch, and they're going to continue to have a tough stretch, their schedule is not going to be easy. Their next upcoming 4 or 5 games, there's still positives to be had with the Cardinals, still a bright future. And for the Tigers, I am really impressed. Had no idea what to expect from the Tigers this year. Coach DeMarzo has done a terrific job with these girls. The defense is back. I wasn't sure what to expect with the defense, and it's just, again, another season for the Tigers here. This is his 3rd season for Coach DeMarzo. Terrific job. That full court press is very intimidating.
And I think that press is it's an extra X factor that was added into the last night's game. It's just another thing, another speed bump for the Cardinals to overcome. And when you're a young, inexperienced team, that's a very tough task, especially with how well Ridgefield runs the press and the trap. I think you saw some of the inexperience show up in those early turnovers. Down the stretch, the second half, really the fourth quarter, the Cardinals were able to hang around for a little bit. They started to get things going offensively at times, but by that point, it was just too much to overcome. I mean, Ridgefield jumped out to that 11-0 lead. Caroline Colonel got involved early. I thought Kate Wagner might have been the best player on the floor. She was a lot of fun to watch, very calm, collected, and did a great job running the point in the offense. I
think if you're Coach DeMarzo, you got to be thrilled because you, in a way, you kind of know who your point guard is going to be for the next 2 years. Katie Wagner was excellent last night, I thought, and she's only going to get more confident each game, as we go on here throughout the season. Very impressed with her. You look throughout this roster, the Ridgefield Tigers, inexperienced, but they're showing their,
they're growing up before our eyes.
It's going to pay off, and that's what Coach DeMarzo told me before the game. He said, you know what, Caroline Colonel, some people can't handle a situation like this. She has. She's taken over. She's done a great job leading these girls as the only upperclassman on the entire roster. She's done a terrific job, taking care of the little ones as she's calling them on this roster. And that's the key thing too. I think sometimes when you're a leader like this and you're alone as the only upperclassman, you start to feel left out. She's taken over and they're having fun. That's the other part. And that's why I think you're seeing them be so successful on the hardwood, because they're having fun, they're having good chemistry, and the steals last night, my goodness.
Oh, they're playing well.
My only concern, though, I think you look back at last night, the second and third quarter, I thought the Tigers were a little sloppy at times on offense. They were forcing some turnovers that just weren't necessary, and Coach DeMarzo was not happy with that. So those are the little things they're going to clean up. Young team, exciting team. Looking forward to seeing how they play the rest of the month and leading up to the FCIAC tournament.
Let's take a look at the highlights from last night. The Tigers winners 57-28 over Greenwich.
Is no good. Battle for the board. And controlling that one is Wagner. Quickly up ahead. Good passing and a better finish. Nicely done. There's Colonel now in on the board. Wagner to Colonel again inside, and we're going to see a timeout taken. As the pass too hot to handle for Lamore. Colonel out in transition. Kokenmeister chasing her down, and she gets the lay-in to go. Look at that. There's Caroline Colonel inside. No good. Battle for the rebound. She's got her own. Glazowski, open three. Yes.
You see the offense they're running here. They're just waiting for that moment that Katie Flynn finds a free space here. There we go. Yep, right there. Perfect.
Oh, good look, and another finish inside for Garson. She's got 4 points in the quarter.
Kevin talked about Caroline Colonel taking these girls under her wing, the younger players, and how they're stepping up. We caught up with Caroline after the game. Let's hear what the senior captain had to say about this team and their development from the early season.
Thank you, Kevin, here with Caroline Colonel. Caroline, first of all, congratulations. 5th win in a row for the Tigers. What's working for the team right now?
We're really improving on our communication, and our coach is saying that that's a big part, and we'll end up being a great team if we can really master that by the end of this month. But, we're just working really hard in practice, and we're just coming together as a team and realizing that we can do damage this year.
Well, one thing that you guys definitely emphasized tonight was crashing the offensive boards. You had a couple of rebounds. You guys really dominated down low. Is that something you're making a point of emphasis this year?
Yeah, we work on rebounds every day in practice, and that pretty much wins games, because if you can stop them from getting second chance shots and we can rebound off of our own shots, we're luckily going to win,
You guys have obviously got a lot of young girls on this roster. One of the big names we're seeing step up right now, Kate Wagner. She had a tremendous game tonight, really doing a great job running the point. What can you say about Kate's play?
She's great. She's always so poised. She just listens and hustles after everything. She goes for those 50-50 ground balls. I love playing with her. She just really connects with people on the court, so she's great to have, and she's doing a great job.
And you guys now have got a couple of big games coming up. What's the message to the girls? How do you keep this streak going now? Maybe stretch it to 6 or 7?
Yeah, we have big games this weekend with Trumbull on Saturday. So, we just have to stay poised and confident, at the same time, and just keep hustling and working hard in practice, and it's going to come. It's all going to fold together. So,
well, Caroline, congrats. Great game. We'll see you guys soon. Good luck. Kev, let's send it back up to you.
All right.
Thanks again to Caroline, and congratulations to the Tigers. Their 5th consecutive win. They are now 5-2 in FCIAC play. That puts them alone in 4th place in the conference. We've got to take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, though, we'll look at the rest of last night's action. I'll let you know what is on tonight, what is off, and get you ready for the week ahead. That's next on the HAN Network.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
Back on the HA Network, Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman in studio. Let's get you caught up on tonight's action, the games that are going to be played in Connecticut. Simsbury will play at Xavier at 5 o'clock. New Canaan and Trinity Catholic still on that game at Terry Connors at 5:50. West Haven and Prep will play at 6 from the Wonderland of Ice. That's a good game right there, Kev. You've got Milford and Cheshire at 7:30. Wilton taking on West Hill Stanford at 7:50, and Trumbull travels to the Sono Ice House. They will take on Norwalk McMahon. Wilton, West Hill, Stanford. That an interesting game right here. That's one that West Hill Stanford needs to win if they want to try to hang around that playoff picture. Looking back at last night, I just want to start with right now how well the Staples boys hockey team is playing. They're back in the FCIAC now. 8-1 their victory over St. Joe's last night.
Yeah, they're sending a message to the conference. They're hanging around. They're going to be there till the end, I believe. So big win, big statement for Staples. And I think another game you have to keep an eye on tonight, of course, is New Canaan at Trinity Catholic. You want to see how New Canaan bounces back after dropping that game the other night. That could have made it 4 wins in a row. Unfortunately, they couldn't. Maybe this is the start of a new winning streak. And Dylan Shane, the goalie, see how he can continue. But New Canaan on the trend up here. Tough loss the other night, but I want to see how they play tonight against Trinity Catholic.
Staples is now 7-1-1 on the season. 6 points gives them the lead in the West Division. They've played 3 games in conference. They are 3-0. Taking care of the games they need to right now. They are playing extremely well. They have the most points in conference play to this point in time. Also from last night, let's dive back into girls basketball. Interesting game here. Wilton 57-54 for St. Joe's. The Lady Warriors, a little bit of a struggle in the early going up at St. Joe's.
Yeah, I'm surprised in a little bit of a way. I thought Wilton was really gonna, take the league by storm. They had some great players on this roster, but St. Joe's making it a close game. That's got to be a little bit of a boost of confidence for the cadets. But overall, Wilton escapes with the win, a win that they need to have in order to keep this thing going, keep them in the playoff hunt, because any loss like this early on in the season can hurt you later on. Let's
throw up the standings for girls basketball. We'll start in the East Division here. And sitting atop right now is Fairfield Ward. They're 7-1 overall, 8-1 after last night. That one loss is to Staples, but not in conference play, so they sit 6-0. Norwalk, what a great story they have been at the start of the season. Ridgefield and Wilton right there as well. They're going to meet on Tuesday the 30th. That'll be a big game there. You look at the West Division now, Kev, and this is where it gets interesting. Remember Norwalk 6-1 right there? Because when we look over at the West, next Tuesday, we're going to see Norwalk take on Staples 7-1, who's chasing, like everyone else, the Trumbull Eagles.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. We've seen Staples already this year. Looking forward to seeing how Norwalk plays. That's going to be a fun one.
And Stanford, an interesting team, too. You talk about that loss of Kellner. I was one of those guys, not as worried as some people might have been. We saw what they did without Kellner in the early rounds of the FCIAC tournament last year. But I like that they were able to not miss a beat whatsoever. They've stayed hot. They've continued to play well in the conference part of the schedule, and that's a big thing. I think Stanford, a team that can cause a lot of problems if they get into the tournament with the right matchup.
Oh, they do, and they have the right coach, Coach Diane Burns. She does a terrific job, getting these girls ready to go. She, does a great job of, developing young players as well. So there's players coming off the bench contributing. Of course, losing Kellner is a tough hit, but there's players coming off the bench making key plays, key roles here for the Stanford team, and they're going to keep rolling here. We always expect to see them in the playoffs, and they're going to be there this year.
Other scores from last night. Ward taking out West Hill 57-42, that their 8th win. Trinity Catholic over New Canaan. My lock of the night. I'm sorry, guys. I was feeling it for the Rams. That was a tough one, but Ayanna Lopes, 27 points last night.
That's a good performance.
And then you had Kyla Nowlin and Caitlin Scott with 14 and 12. 3 players in double-digit scoring. That's going to be tough to overcome there.
And you know what? For New Canaan, we know how good the Charlton girls are. They're talented players, putting up 12 and 11 points respectively. So New Canaan hanging in there, putting up 45. Trinity Catholic is a good team, and it's a tough loss for New Canaan, especially at home. But again, they'll get there. They'll be there. New Canaan will get there. This is a good Trinity Catholic team.
Darien and Danbury, an absolute defensive-minded effort here, 34-32. The Blue Wave continue to hang around. They're right there in the playoff picture and continue to play well.
I tell you what, I said it yesterday, I like Darien. I like them making the playoffs, being kind of a dangerous team to play against. If they sneak into the playoffs, say if they get a 7 or 8 seed, and if they get in, I still think they have an opportunity to get the 5-6 seed as well. But if they can get into the playoffs, it's going to be a tough matchup for those top seeds to go up against a Darien Blue Wave team like this, who, obviously we've seen how athletic they are, how strong defensively they are. The combo between Katie Ramsey and Christy Fiore, that's a dangerous combination to have.
Well, and you remember we were talking with Coach DeMarzo before the game last night about some of the teams in the conference, and he mentioned Darien, you just can't get a read on what's going on there. Yeah. And they've got the 2 big girls down low, but it's not just the size, it's how athletic Fiore and Ramsey are down in the paint.
Well, they are. I think the entire roster, too, is filled with terrific athletes that, shape this team. And, it's a good mold of good athletes here on this team. So Katie Ramsey and Christy Fiore, we know how good they are, not just on the basketball court, but outside of it as well, on the soccer field, on the lacrosse field as well. So their athleticism is showing on the hardwood. And early on, I like what I'm seeing right now from the Blue Wave.
Ludlow and Trumbull, boys and girls varsity basketball is on tonight. Still no word at the moment regarding it is Staples and Central. We'll try to get you that in the next 90 seconds. But while we have 90 seconds left, I want to throw it over to Kev. Matchup you're most looking forward to tomorrow night in our Fairfield Ward Wilton game.
Oh, man, that's tomorrow night. You're going to see so many strong players on both sides. Obviously, you have to. I mean, this is our first look at Sean Conway in person, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Sean Conway does against a Wilton Warriors defense like this, and how does Antonio Brancato handle the pressure, handle the emotion. Those are the 2 things I'm looking out for tomorrow night.
I wish you hadn't said that. My matchup was going to be Brancato versus the crowd. That's what I was going to go with there. I want to see how the Wilton offense responds to this Fairfield Ward defense. They struggled early on last year, like you talked about. It took them a couple quarters to get going. I don't think this is a Mustang team you can afford a slow start to. They're much better than they were last year when these 2 teams met as the leaders of the East Division. So for me, Wilton has got to come out. Coach Garyak talking about this being his best shooting team he's ever had. They've got to shoot the lights out, take all momentum, any kind of life away from Ward early on if they're going to have a chance in this one.
They do, and last night against St. Joe's, really slow start against St. Joe's there. St. Joe's was hanging around that first half. Finally, in the second half, that's when you really started to see Wilton play their type of basketball, hitting 30-footers, hitting some big 3-pointers, running in transition. So early on, Wilton's got to do that and take care of business. And yes, hit some big 3-pointers in that first quarter. That'll help.
Thanks again to Coach Garyak of Wilton. We'll see him and the Mustangs of Ward tomorrow night, 7 p.m. from Fairfield Ward High School. Kevin and I are on the air at 6:50. Before that, we'll be here for Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. And, of course, start your day out 11 a.m. Coffee break with Kate Jablonski. It's Thursday, though. Got the Yankee Fisherman at 1. John Kovacs in the studio. We'll see you then on the HA Network.